Okay, so welcome to episode number 2 of the Offstage podcast.
That really threw me off. I forgot we called the first one 0.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did I dream?
Does it count?
Last episode?
Would it count? I guess it counts.
I guess it is episode 2.
Yeah, technically, episode 2, technically 3. It's like the Star Wars trilogies or whatever.
Yeah. Rogue One, I call it 3.5.
Or something like that. Or you can go even more complicated. It's like Kingdom Hearts video games. They're like Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Remix HD. It's like, okay, I guess we're almost there.
Did I tell you about the time I came home from watching episode 8 and my mom was like, so tell me what Star Wars is all about? And I was like, oh my God, how much time do you have?
Well, first of all, they're stars. And they really don't like each other.
We watched 3 of them in like a week and she's like, okay, how many are left? 3? I'm like, 6?
And that's if only if you want to watch the movies, not the whole universe of like miniseries and cartoons and whatever.
Exactly, or the unreleased ones. Okay, that's enough Star Wars for today.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the Offstage podcast.
Right? Welcome to
the off-topic podcast.
The number 1 Toronto-based music advice podcast featuring Martin and Vanessa.
And a lot of Star Wars talk.
And a lot of Star Wars talk. Welcome to today's episode. I wanted to do some housekeeping before we kind of begin here. But first of all, I want to thank you all. This is the first episode we're recording after we actually announced that this thing is a thing that exists. And the
it's
feedback,
not a dream.
It's not a dream. We're actually not doing this just for fun. We actually wanted to release it.
We were doing it for fun.
Yeah, I guess not. We weren't doing it just for ourselves. I guess we did want it.
That would be
we
weird.
Did want to release
that would be
it.
weird. Let's just meet up and record a podcast so we can listen to it ourselves.
That would creep
me
can
out.
Listen to.
Oh my God.
That's someone will do it. Someone will do it one day. Just Google it enough and you will not find it because that's the point. Anyway, feedback has been great. It's been awesome. A lot of people like it.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for listening to us talk for an hour.
Right? So as a quick reminder, we're now live everywhere. We are on social media as the Offstage. So that's our username on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Chatterbait, and all of those social media.
I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah, don't. We're also, our podcast is available everywhere too. So the actual show is available on Google Play Music, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere that you would. SoundCloud. No SoundCloud because we are not paying for that.
Okay.
We could pay for that, but depends on how much audience we get out of this. Anyway, it's been a busy week for us. We haven't recorded in a while. Last week we were busy announcing the actual show. But today we have a pretty cool episode planned out for all of you, if you haven't noticed by the title already. What are we talking about today, Vanessa?
Spotify.
So your music has to be in Spotify. Okay, thank you. That was great. The next episode... and that's actually something that I want to start the episode with about Spotify. A lot of the stuff that I read about Spotify out there is always like, oh, just make sure that your music has to be on Spotify, and everyone talks about how Spotify is important and your music should be there. And I think we kind of get it. Yes, Spotify is important and your music should be there. But there's much more to Spotify than just being like, okay, my music's there, I'm done. That's it. That's as much as I'm going to do. There's a lot of strategizing around it. And there's also been a lot of news about Spotify, the company, lately. That shows a lot about the future of streaming, the future of the company itself, and how it affects musicians.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good place to start is what's happening with Spotify right now to kind of really build a case for why it's so important. Because it's one thing to be like, your music needs to be on Spotify. It's really important. But there's been so much awesome stuff going on with the company that first you need to be convinced that this platform is not going away and it's crushing all of its competitors.
Yep.
And then we can talk about a few more specific strategies and tactics that can and absolutely should be implemented if you want people to actually hear your music on Spotify.
Exactly. So this is going to be a pretty exciting episode. And at this point, you start listening to the very calm, chill hop music coming in. And we're going to transition to the actual content. All right. Woo! So Spotify has gone public. That's big news. That's big news. Do you know what that means?
It means I need to make an appointment at the bank.
I need me some of that stock, baby. Hey, that stock is actually doing pretty well. So that's not, we're not financial. Let me disclaimer, we're not financial advisors.
Oh my God, I'm so stupid when it comes to that stuff. I'm like, I need Spotify stocks. And I just Googled how to buy stock.
How to buy a stock in a company.
Because I missed that part in life.
Yeah, it's so good.
All I know is I want it.
Right? And you're not the only one. A lot of people want it. And that's good news for the company. So, we, even before starting this episode, we even talked about, we don't want to make this episode too business talky. But this is a big point that kind of unravels a big topic about what's going to happen to the company in the future and how it affects musicians. You know, we're not here to tell you to, how finances are going to work inside of Spotify in the next few months. That doesn't matter. It's more about, how is that going to translate to you and your music and what you can do with the technology. Because at the end of the day, Spotify, I believe that Spotify is a technology company. They're not a music company. Just like how Netflix is not a media company, they are a technology company too, right? And how is that technology going to help you? So not only has Spotify gone public, but also iHeartMedia, who owns iHeartRadio and, a bunch of other radio stations, has gone broke. They're filing for bankruptcy. And, while radio is sadly dying, or at least mainstream pop radio, we see Netflix come out of the waters and go public on the New York Stock Exchange. So let's talk a little bit about that. So when a company goes public, that means that they're going to be getting a lot of money. A lot of money is coming in. I was actually surprised they went public. I thought they were going to be bought out by Apple at some point or Google, that someone was going to buy them. But no, they decided we're going to do this ourselves. Fuck everyone else. We're going public. So a lot of money is going to be coming in into the company. And that is very exciting. That means the company is going to be growing pretty aggressively. They're going to start acquiring other companies. They already acquired Louder, who they're a company that deals with like licensing and paying out royalties. So that means that they want to have their shit in line. Like they want to make sure that from a financial, legal standpoint, they're good. And they're going to start buying more companies and creating new things. They started a new hardware division where they're going to be basically just creating hardware for their company.
Yeah. And
what does that mean? I have no idea. But
we'll find out sooner than later, probably by the time that we air this episode in a few weeks.
Yeah.
We'll find out what that is, in addition to their new mobile app, which is coming out next week, which will be in the past by the time you're listening to this. But that's okay. We'll follow up with our reviews.
Yeah, what we think about it.
I'm so excited.
Right?
I'm really excited. I've never been so excited for updates on like a
I've
streaming platform or any platform.
For an app update.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, what are you guys going to do? And I even last week, I just tweeted, I was like, I wish Spotify had a comments feature. I just want to know when a song blows up and there's lots and lots of streams, I want to know what people are thinking.
Like YouTube.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That would be pretty exciting. And like, we don't know what at this point, next week, Spotify, for those who don't know, 1 week from this recording, Spotify is going to be showing off their new version of this free Spotify app. So the free app is going to get a full revamp, and that's going to be very, very exciting. There's rumors about a bunch of stuff, and of course, it's going to be very heavily based on playlists. And that's a big show. That's a big show that Spotify is doubling down on playlists. That's going to be their big thing, and that's going to be probably the focus of the company for the next 2 to 3 years. And with money comes like big things, and we're going to be talking about that. And now that you brought it up, I kind of wanted to talk about that, about like social aspects, like social media aspects coming into the company. Spotify, I don't know if you remember this, but Spotify a long time ago used to have like a DM feature. You could DM people on Spotify.
Yeah.
And they took that away. And I can see why. Like at the time, like they just wanted to focus on being like the best media player, right? The best content delivery network. But now times have changed, and I do think it's time to add some of those social media features there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the logic is, and obviously they, like you said, they probably just wanted to focus on being the best streaming platform to start with, but because there right now is no social aspect outside of just sharing, it would make sense, like any smart platform, and this, Facebook has done a really, really good job at this, is when you have so many users, like 70 million paid subscribers, you want them to stay on your platform. You don't want them to leave the platform. And granted, you can still continue to stream while you go on social media and do your thing. So they don't really need to compete with major social platforms. But in a way, you do want to kind of keep your users active on the platform. Like they did try, and we never got a chance to see this up in Canada, but they did try out video. And one of the reasons why it's failing is because people are passively using the platform.
Yep.
They're not actually looking at the screen while they're listening to Spotify. And it would be great, like if they implemented social features and got people a little bit more engaged within the platform, then video might be a little bit more successful. Granted, I'm not on their team, so who knows? I'm sure they've all thought about this thing, but somewhere down the road in the future, adding social elements to Spotify would just make it, like, even just thinking, how great would it be to see comments?
Yeah. And I think they have to have a very, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. And they have to be a very out-of-the-box approach. Like, don't try to be the next Facebook. You're not going to be the next Facebook.
Exactly.
Don't try to do what Twitter does, because Twitter already exists for that. Mm-hmm. Don't try to be the next Instagram. Mm-hmm. Or Instagram's already there. Like, look at what happened to Snapchat when Instagram started copying their stuff. Dead. Mm-hmm. And, try to be your own original thing. And that's going to be a struggle for Spotify, because... It's going to be a little bit hard, because there hasn't really been a social media platform based around music since I can only think of two that were actually successful: MySpace and Last.fm. Mm-hmm. And Last.fm, and that shows that there is demand for that kind of platform, but that is tricky to get it right. Mm-hmm. Last.fm is somewhat still alive. MySpace died a cruel death. Last.fm is still you can still go on Last.fm and link it up to your Spotify account even and get it going from there. But they're a niche product. But at some point, everyone had their own Last.fm account, or a lot of people did at least.
Mm-hmm. And what Spotify's been building out too is that obviously still focusing on the artists themselves, is they've implemented a lot of new features over the time where you can hook up your show listings, because they are already starting to do things that will stop a user from leaving the platform to get information that they want. So, if I love a band and I'm listening to them via playlist or what have you, Discover Weekly, I go to their profile, I can see their upcoming shows if they're connected to, I think it's... Songkick. I was going to say Songkick or Bands in Town. I always get the two mixed up. If you have an account with Merch Bar, right now they're very picky, but you can have your merch sales on there. You can add a bio. You can now add a lot of pictures, like a photo gallery, so people can find out more information about the band without having to leave the platform. So that was a really smart way, because before it's like you fall in love with a song, you want to know who it is, you go to their thing, and all you see is music. And it's just like, well, I want more. I want to know where they're from, what they're about, where they're playing next. Can I buy stuff? Yeah.
So, and that's the kind of stuff that Facebook doesn't give you right away.
Yes.
And I guess that's one of the first pieces of advice for this episode is, if you're an artist and you have your music in Spotify, which you should. If you don't, too bad, you're missing out. Get signed up on Spotify for artists. Mm-hmm. Super easy, free. Takes, you just go through a verification process, takes 15 minutes, probably less, to set it up.
And for anyone who doesn't know, you don't have to have 250 followers to be verified anymore.
Not anymore. All you have to do is verify through your Twitter and you're in there. Mm-hmm. It's super easy. You don't need an amount of followers or anything. You don't need to follow beg. And it's super, super great information on that dashboard.
Oh my God, so important.
Yeah. Not only it shows you things such as how many plays have you gotten, from where, what age groups, any kind of information that you would like. What cities, what countries, do they come from playlists, this plays? Do they come from your profile? Do they come from other sources? It tells you breakdown per song, so you can kind of identify what songs. If you just released a full album, you can kind of tell, out of the album, all these songs are not singles, and this one has a bunch of plays. Maybe that should be the next single because it's already catching some attention. Mm-hmm. It tells you even what specific playlists are giving you plays. So, if a playlist is doing very well, you should reach out to the creator, thank them, create that relationship with them. Mm-hmm. So it becomes like a very nice professional relationship there.
I think one of the most valuable things, especially if you start getting into the thousands of plays, which if you use it correctly, and we'll get into a couple of different tactics to get your music discoverable and discovered on Spotify, is you should absolutely use those demographics. It'll break it down by country and by city. Use it to route your tours. You might be surprised which markets, like especially in Canada, people have this idea, you got to do the 401 runs. These are the markets we're going to hit out west. These are the markets we're going to hit out east. But if you look at Spotify, you might actually be surprised at which cities have the most listeners, and you can absolutely target them. Now, here's something, I don't know if you know this because we didn't talk about this before, but they have just released the beta version of their self-service advertising platform.
Yes.
So you can now create audio ads with visuals all by yourself and pay, just like Facebook, to target certain audiences by demographic, location, age, by what artists they listen to, genres they listen to. And the only caveat is it's a little expensive. The minimum spend is $250, but this is for on the free platform. So there's 70 million users right now who are listening for free, and it's not like YouTube where you can skip ads. It's not like Facebook where you can skip ads. These listeners are forced to listen to this ad because they're listening to it for free.
And sometimes the ads are like way louder than the actual songs.
Exactly. So it's like if you have a really well-crafted ad, especially if you're a musician and you want to promote your music, like a listener might end up listening to that ad, not even realizing that it's an ad because you're promoting your music.
Yeah.
Like it's so
smart.
good. I can't wait to use it. Like I just got into the beta version yesterday, I think, and I was looking through it the day before. Cannot wait to use it.
And you just brought so many points. I kind of have to organize my brain right now. But let's start from the top. So looking at Spotify for artists, definitely use that information in your advantage. For example, for one of my projects that I have music for on Spotify, I realized that, I was doing these Instagram and Facebook ads for my project, linking back to my Spotify to get some plays and see what was going on. And I was seeing that on Facebook, I was targeting both, for example, both male and females. And I was like, okay, so I'm targeting both men and women and on Facebook. But then on Spotify, 98% of my plays came from men. So I'm like, okay, obviously the music that I'm making for whatever reason appeals more to men than women, which, okay, whatever. I wish it was 50-50. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, I guess.
You gotta start somewhere.
Right? And so now I use that information to know that, well, on Facebook, I should be advertising to men because the women are not clicking on my ads and they're not listening to my music. And same thing, it also tells me what demographics. Oh, it's people between like the ages, and it goes pretty granular sometimes, between the ages of like 18 and 25. Okay, so I shouldn't be advertising to people 25 over. They're not doing that. So it's become a way for me. You can use it, like you said, to plan your tours, to see what cities are great, and also to like improve your advertising. Know what's your user base, really, your audience. What are they into? Where are they from? And I started spending and think out of the box with that kind of stuff. Like, for example, I am bilingual, so I speak Spanish, and I ran an ad for my band in Spanish in Mexico. So I targeted Mexico with this ad in Spanish and got a shitload of plays on Spotify from Mexico.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. South American markets are very easily engaged on Facebook.
They're super passionate.
Yes.
And they're cheap as hell.
Yes.
Because, not as many people are advertising in those markets as they are in, for example, Toronto is super expensive to advertise in when you do a comparison of like Facebook expenditure and like the cost per click and all that. Toronto, and it's super expensive. New York City is super expensive. Los Angeles is super expensive. If you're a band that's from any of those big cities, you'll know this. But if you have that kind of advantage, you have someone in your band or even a friend that can like, hey, can you translate this into Spanish? Like, run this ad. Hey, a Spotify play is a Spotify play. It doesn't matter if it's from Japan or Mexico or Philippines. Like, it doesn't matter. A play is a play.
It doesn't matter at all. Yeah, there's something about engaging. I ran a bunch of micro campaigns for some of the top Spotify markets. I ran a Facebook ad to test out how easily I could engage those people on Facebook using a video ad, and Mexico and Brazil by far were so much more engaged.
I need a Portuguese
not even just how
ad.
much they not even how much they actually like cost, but how engaged they were. Like the rate of engagement was insane, running circles around the other markets like Germany, UK, Canada. It's incredible. So
because those are also markets that are at least to this point, not flooded with music yet.
Yeah, exactly. So you can not only plan your tours by looking at your local markets on Spotify Insights, you can run ads in markets that are much more easy to engage and get more Spotify plays, or start building up your social audiences. Because again, that's one thing that Spotify doesn't do naturally, not in the same way that YouTube does. If you get tons of views on YouTube, you'll get a lot of spillover onto your social pages. But when you get a similar amount of streams on Spotify, the spillover into social is not nearly as high. So you can use those insights yourself and manually advertise based on those insights, knowing, okay, well, I already have interest here. And then you work and optimize from there. You just got to think a little.
And how nice would it be to tour Mexico and Brazil during the winter?
Right?
That would be great. That's the dream.
Giving up my secrets over
That's
here.
the dream.
That's exactly what we're doing.
So the next follow-up item is still talking about Spotify for Artists. So the other thing that Spotify for Artists allows you to do, and the crazy thing is that they've been adding features like almost every month to Spotify for Artists. There's an app even. Get the app on your phone, the Spotify app.
I've gotten into the habit now of when I wake up in the morning, I hit, like, my alarm is on my phone. It's right next to me. Before I even open my eyes, I turn off my alarm, and the first thing my eyes see are Spotify stats.
Because it gives it to you. It's funny because the desktop doesn't do it, but the Spotify app gives it to you in real time too. You're like, oh, I see those numbers going up, baby. So yeah, definitely. That's great. And also the great big things that it gives you full access to your profile on Spotify. So you can edit your pictures, add a bio, add updates that get pinned to the top of your profile. You can add pictures now, different number of pictures. You can edit your cover picture. You can pin playlists to your profile, which you should do. You should actively be creating playlist and pinning them to your profile. I personally don't do that enough, but I should, especially if you're trying to grow on Spotify. Once you're established, or you already have a following on Spotify, it's not as required. But at the beginning, create playlists, put it up on Spotify, tag them to your profile and stuff.
Yeah, and just a quick note, this is something that I'm hoping Spotify will work on and improve shortly. Is currently, unless this has changed, please let me know. But the last time I checked, to add a playlist to your Spotify profile, you cannot actually, or your artist profile, you cannot create one through your artist profile. You have to use your personal account, create a playlist, go into your artist's account, not on Spotify, but your Spotify for Artists profile, and then add that playlist. Yep. Now, this happened with a previous artist. They wanted that playlist to say that it was created by their band name. So I actually had to contact Spotify support, which I believe is artists@spotify.com, and ask them, is there any way to do this? And they just manually did it for us, which is great. They responded. They did it for us. That was awesome.
I didn't know you could do that.
Great customer service, but they need to do that differently. You need to be able to do that manually. Yeah.
Well, that means that the possibility is out there, so it's probably going to be coming soon to Spotify for Artists then. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe it's something that they're beta testing at this point.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I didn't know that. I was even going to recommend create a personal account with the name of your band and then link it up. It's a whole shit show. But maybe it's better to just send out an email.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse to not do this thing. It's free. You don't need a paid Spotify subscription to get access to the artist backend.
But I highly recommend it.
Totally recommend it. And
I love being able to download albums.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just advertising for Spotify right now.
Yeah. Disclosure: I have a paid Spotify account, but I also have a Google Play Music paid account. So I'm in both fields. I'm impartial. Fuck Apple though.
I've never. Yeah. Oh.
And Tidal.
Tidal. That shit
Remember Tidal?
Is that stuff still around?
I'm gonna add a sound effect right here. But yeah, it's very exciting times for Spotify and the future. So I guess the next thing that I wanted to talk about is literally, okay, let's get into some of those tactics before we start fantasizing a little bit more about the future of the company itself, since we know there's going to be a lot of money coming in. And one of them is, okay, let's talk about the tactics first, actually, before we move into the topics of what we expect, actual changes that in our mind make sense and how to prepare for those. So yeah, you are, and I guess it's a great moment for you to share these stories. You manage a few artists that they've gone big on Spotify. So, expose our audience to that experience and what's it like and what to do.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. I've actually had a lot of people come up to me in the last few months and ask me, like, what's your secret with Spotify? And it's just like, there is no big secret to Spotify. There is a secret in the sense that mysteriously there are a lot of people that I've talked to about this at different levels of the industry, you know, in distribution and booking and all that stuff, where we just don't know how Spotify works organizationally, what their selection process is. Like, you can, for the most part, if you listen to a lot of podcasts, do a lot of reading, you can deduct how they do things. And what's great is that they do use a mix of human curation, which is incredible, mixed with analytical data.
Yeah, there's definitely an algorithm at work.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? Some people can speculate that, like, oh, you know, the labels who own stakes in Spotify probably get, you know, there's favorites being played and yada yada. But at the end of the day, that is not the end all be all. Like, if you're an independent artist who thinks like, oh, Spotify's working against us, screw them, like, we're never going to get on a major rock playlist, I'm sorry, but it's just not true. And I know that because one of the artists I represent is on one of the biggest rock playlists, or the biggest rock playlist on Spotify. They've been on the cover. They're being plastered all over the place for no other reason than a curator really, really loved them and is not playing favorites in the sense that she's keeping them on the playlist just because she likes them. It's because the analytical data, the streaming stats, where it's like, how many people are saving it? Are they skipping halfway through? Are they listening to the whole song? Are they sharing the song?
And they're adding it to their own library, right?
Exactly. And so, you know, it's no secret that the head of rock is Alison Hagendorf. She's phenomenal. There's so many artists who just adore her because she listens to everything and she really pushes what she loves. And she's one of the best natural curators who's totally disrupting the system, which is awesome. But she's very honest about the way it works, is that yes, she'll handpick and support the music that she loves, which is a wide variety of rock music.
But if the users don't like it, there's nothing she can do about it. She'll put you there for a week and see how it goes.
Exactly. But what that does is it proves that Spotify cares about its listeners. It's not going to shove music that you don't like down your throat. So if Allison, for instance, loves a song, but nobody's saving it and people keep skipping it, well, she's doing a disservice to the listeners by leaving it up there. So it's going to come down. That's just the way it works.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong, her job as a curator is to get those hits there that people are loving. That's why she's hired to do that, not a robot.
Exactly. And, you know, she's obviously doing a really good job by being true to what the listeners want. So she's, you know, if anything, it's like she's almost like a human algorithm where she'll now know, after all of this experience and all these years of being able to curate and knowing what people like and don't like, she'll test it out. And if it works, and I've seen that happen too, where she slowly but surely added new songs, you know, from our artist. And if they do well, they get onto bigger lists. And they stay
it's
on
not
lists
like
longer, and they
first,
get higher up. They don't just get plastered onto the top of the list for no reason.
It's not like you're going to be track one rock this out of nowhere.
This isn't a club. It's not some exclusive club or when you're in, you're in. It's like, no, it still comes down to how good is the music? What's your story? You know, how much do people like it? What do you have coming out next? Like it's, and, you know, there are a lot of little things, but it's just, the one thing is that it just makes me love Spotify even more, because it really comes down to how good is your music, not based on what a few people think. It's what do the listeners have to say about it? How much do they like it? And that's one of the best ways, obviously, to be discovered on Spotify is to get on Spotify playlists. Now, how do you get in front? And that's the big secret. There is no big, huge freaking conspiracy to why Cleopatra has over 5 million streams. That's just it, is they got onto Spotify playlists. The listener data is really working really, really well. Therefore, the curators continue to support the music.
Quick disclaimer here: Cleopatra is one of the bands that Vanessa works with.
It should be obvious by now.
Just, you know, I don't know who's listening to this. I like to be like fully transparent, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Ethics and whatever.
So, how do you get on Spotify playlists? That's another question. So, there are several ways that you can do this. One, if you have a good distributor, like Cleopatra, for instance, works with Indie Pool, they do pitch because they do have representatives at Spotify and Apple. Fuck Apple, you guys suck. You guys suck. Your fucking dinosaurs, go away.
You're like, want to use our apps? Buy an iPhone. I don't want to buy an iPhone.
Yeah, so when you have, this is what I love about having a human being working with you on your distribution team. It's like nothing against DistroKid or TuneCore. It's great, especially if you're on a low budget and you're just starting out. But when you have a human being who's actually working with reps from these massive streaming companies, it does serve to help you because they will help you pitch and they will get you on certain lists and they'll even notify you. Like we get a lovely, set of screenshots whenever, Indie Pool is notified that we've been added to playlists on Spotify or even Apple. I still hate you guys. Fuck off. Apple.
You get a notification.
Apple. I hate you.
Apple. Fuck off. This episode of the Offstage podcast is sponsored by Apple.
So how do you get on Spotify playlists? So your distributor can help you out with that. There's also ways, like this is the funny thing, and it was really, really difficult for me at first. Like you have all these massive playlists that are independently curated, meaning it's not by any of the editorial staff at Spotify. How do you get in touch with them? You cannot find their contact information. They have, handles, usernames that you can't
They
find.
get spammed like crazy too, probably,
and
if
will
they're
get
public.
spammed if you get, they will get spammed. So there's different ways to do it. Personally, the one that I use the most, and if there are others, like I want to know, who do you use? I research this stuff all the time, but I use SubmitHub. Because SubmitHub was originally a platform to submit to bloggers, but they started to realize the value of Spotify playlisting. So now you can filter your results. You have to filter by genre first, and then you can filter them by has Spotify playlist or are a Spotify playlister. So what's great about SubmitHub is you can find out who's got a Spotify playlist that curates your genre. And SubmitHub has done a smart thing now is where they've had users like myself who have had songs being playlisted. We uploaded our data from our Spotify for Artists account. So now they can very transparently show you the average plays, because some of these playlists will say, oh, we have 50,000 followers. So you're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get so many streams. Yeah. But when you look at your stats a few months later,
robots is a bot follows.
Exactly. You get like 25, 30 streams. So it's very transparent. However, you don't need to go looking for thousands and thousands of streams. So what was really successful, I personally think that this played a role in Cleopatra's success early on, is that they were added to a handful of independently curated playlists. Those kinds of things would trip the Spotify systems. Just like, okay, lots of people are saving it, lots of people are sharing it, lots of people are adding it, lots of people who have lots of followers on their playlists are adding it. Yeah. And then what they did as a next step is they submitted their song to Allison, who then added it. Basically,
the way the algorithm seems to work from like not only your experiences, but in general is that, Spotify starts like, okay, let's put you in, I don't know, size D playlist. Oh, you're doing pretty well on those. You're usually one of the most best performing songs on those. Let's put you into size C playlist, size B, right? And you kind of go up the charts as your song kind of gains that momentum. Mm-hmm. And I fully agree with you with SubmitHub. Another disclaimer: I use SubmitHub. This is not a paid thing. So I do use SubmitHub. I used it for one of my personal projects recently, and it's great. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. It not only helps you get on Spotify things, but also helps you with press traction and getting your SEO game up. That's really good.
Mm-hmm. It does. And for people who complain about having to pay for it, it's $1 per submission. Honestly, it'll be the best $20 you ever spent, even if you just get 2 or 3, because when it comes from PR, and I have a background in PR and I've done a lot of publicity for previous artists, just to get, like, I could personally email over 100 publications and get 1 response. And the reason why is because less than 10% of those people will even open my email. Yep. So to pay $1 to force somebody or to incentivize somebody on SubmitHub to at least listen to the track that I'm submitting and reject it with whatever advice they have is better than sending all of those emails, to send like 10 times as many emails and not even get them to open it.
And a lot of people, and a lot of people don't understand that those reviews and posts, they're there forever. Mm-hmm. And that's like reusable. You can add those to your EPK, those quotes, add them to your website. Mm-hmm. You can run, I run many different kinds of ads for my music project. One of them is like a reviews ad that basically has like quotes from like the press, like, of course, I only picked out the good parts, and that one does really well and takes them back to my website where they can like go on Spotify and all that kind of stuff and yada yada yada. And same thing with Spotify playlisters. And if you're doing like I don't know, classic music mixed with metal and hip hop, there might not be someone on Submit Hub for you yet. It is a growing platform, but definitely go on there. And it's free to check what's there. It's free to see the list of playlists and bloggers and all that kind of stuff. So go in there first, check it out, and yeah, start using it. I do gotta say though, either you should have someone who manages you submit the songs, or you should, have a thick skin.
Yes. Oh my God, that's such a good piece of advice.
Yes.
That's the one thing that breaks my heart, is some of the feedback you get when you're rejected on Submit Hub can be really harsh.
Yeah.
Not as harsh as Reddit comments. But it can, because the thing is when you're rejected, when you pay, submit things with premium credits, they have to give you at least 10 words of feedback in order to take the pay. Otherwise you get your credit refunded. So a lot of the times what I've noticed is that the feedback will be very arbitrary, and it will pull apart a song. And I'm sorry, again, I'm a former journalist. I know what kind of people write about music. We're all just a bunch of music fans. We're not fucking educated music critics.
Yeah, sometimes they're just like, for some reason I'm not feeling it.
Well, that's
one
the
word
thing,
I got
though,
one
is
time.
that I would appreciate if every single person who ever rejected a song that I've submitted on Submit Hub just said, you know what? This isn't my taste. I don't like this song.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please tell me you don't like the song. It's when I get a fucking paragraph ripping the song apart, saying like, this is to this and that didn't do it for me, and you really need to fix that, and I'm not so sure about this. It's like, really? But, I respect, actually, you know what? No, that's a lie. I don't respect your opinion. I think you're full of shit, you fucking blogger.
Okay,
so nowhere.
So that's Vanessa's opinion. Let me just be clear.
No, I think
that's
it's
her
dumb.
opinion.
It's stupid.
That's
I think it's
her
stupid. I'm sorry.
opinion.
I'm not saying that I'm not like a bitchy musician yelling at bloggers because I'm a fan. It's not about my music. It's on behalf of artists. Not even because I think that their music, oh my God, you have to love it. My problem is, get over yourselves. If you don't like it, just say you don't like it. Like, who the fuck do you think you are?
So that's obviously Vanessa's opinion. What I can say on my end is that it opened up my eyes using Submit Hub, because it was the first time where I had like so much, like, I guess, press, if you want to call it that, attention on like one of my projects, because I think you suggested it to me once, because I reached out being like, hey, I'm trying to like get some coverage. What do you recommend nowadays? And you recommended Submit Hub to me. And I submitted my songs to a bunch of people. I released 2 singles of my latest EP, and like I submitted both to a bunch of people and got a bunch of coverage, which was great. So it actually got picked up by a bunch of bloggers. But it really just showed me that people are just individuals. Some people, like, I got on the same song, on the same batch, sending it to the same batch of like 5 to 10 bloggers, comments like, I hate the vocals, and then we're like, I love the vocals. Right? Like, you get those two, like, literally, like, people who are saying like, I would love it, but I love everything about the song, but I hate the vocals, so denied. And then people who are like, accepted, and in the review they would say that they love the vocals. That's one of their favorite parts of the song. Or even one time, like, they said like, I hate the music and I love the vocals. And I was like, well, like, everyone has a different taste, so you will get rejected if you go on Submit Hub, and these Spotify curators that they will tell you, this Spotify creators, some of them will tell you, I hate the vocals, and you have to be ready to hear that. You have to be ready to see a Spotify playlist where you really, 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 really want to be, and the guy to just be in 10 words just tell you, I don't like the vocals, the bass is fine, I guess, but no.
Yeah. What I was trying to say for my rant of bloggers who need to get over themselves is opinions are subjective.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what like you said, some people will love the vocals, some people will hate the vocals. And I'm not saying like, hey, everybody keep your mouth shut. I'm saying your minute opinion of every single aspect of a song is completely irrelevant to an artist. As a manager, I know that. I know that the way you pick apart a song and all of the reasons why you don't like it or think it's a bad song is totally irrelevant to whether or not I'm going to continue promoting this song. So I'd rather you just say, not a good fit, don't like it, not feeling it, don't want to promote it. Cool. Yeah. Thanks. That's all I need to know. That's all artists need to know. So as an artist, if you're going to go on Submit Hub, just take it with a grain of salt. Who cares? And you will get majority rejected. I've run so many campaigns for all different types of artists on Submit Hub. The most successful one has been a 25% approval rate.
Yeah, you will get, like I believe, like for the campaigns that I've run in general, I would get 2 out of each 10 to 12 submissions gets approved. Mm-hmm. So that's like about an 80 to 90% rejection rate. Mm-hmm. And that's like normal. And that's still pretty good, actually. I've heard like horror stories of people saying like I submitted to like 40 people and no one approved, right? So, keep at it. And there's new sites coming up every time. You know, if it's not this single, maybe the next one or the next one or the next one. Mm-hmm. Keep at it. There are playlisters there for any genre on earth almost at this point. Mm-hmm. Keep at it and make sure to, I think a great thing to do with this Submit Hub curators, always follow up after they add it to their playlist or anything. Just follow up, establish that connection. You never know when they can help you out in the future again, or you can help them out in the future too, right? So it's not like a one-way relationship there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, make sure to have a tough skin. You will get those comments. I think that's just a general. Nowadays, music is so connected to the digital world that just a general advice. Just have a tough skin if you're going to be doing all this digital stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Don't let it get to you.
Yeah, because opinions are subjective and you might get a lot of rejections, but everyone gets rejections. Songs that are huge right now have been rejected. It's just the way it is.
Hey, look at it this way. Rejection was probably the inspiration of most of your songs anyway. So
yeah,
it's just like continuing theme.
Exactly. I'm just trying to do a really quick search on if there's any particular... because I know that you can submit songs specifically to curators. I'm not very well versed in other genres, but I know, for instance, like if you follow Ali Hagendorf on Instagram or Twitter, frequently she'll post things like, send me your new music, or you can just DM it to her. And I know that she also has like a Google form that you can fill out, and she'll listen to it and she'll place it if she likes it. And she communicates a lot with her artists. Like she's really, really active. So I'm sure that there's lots of other curators who do the exact same thing. You find them on social. Please, for the love of God, don't spam them. Just respect the fact that it's their job. If they don't respond, or if they don't like it, or if they don't list it, get over it.
Yeah, and you know what? Establish a connection. It's not a bad advice to go, Google and search Spotify rock curator. Mm-hmm. Find all these Twitter accounts, follow them, and start engaging with them before you go with your sales pitch. If they tweeted a picture of them, I don't know, drinking coffee at Starbucks, you can say, oh, that's my favorite drink. Or, oh, I usually have the macchiato or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, or even just like...
Yeah, engage with them. Create a relationship.
You can engage, or you can just watch, see, what they're like, how they act. You have to understand these are people and it is their job. So you want to create a relationship with them, much in the same way you would create a relationship with anybody in the industry, keeping in mind that Spotify is disrupting the industry in such a way that they are some of the most powerful people in music right now. So, that's a good way to get onto the editorial.
You don't want to be like one of those people in the street handing out flyers and annoying you. And it's like, no.
Yeah, exactly. And even if there's like a big surge, like if you're really good at running a campaign where you already have a lot of fans and you're about to drop a new single and you get a really nice surge when you drop your album, there are so many different things that can trip the analytics and get people turned on to your music on their editorial teams and get you on playlists. Another quick thing to note is always, always, always schedule your releases for Friday.
Yep, that's a big one.
Yeah.
You want to tell them why? I know why, but you want to tell them why?
But because all new releases come out on Friday and New Music Friday.
New Music Friday, and that happens because the Billboard charts start tracking from Friday. Mm-hmm. So that's why all music comes out on Friday. By default, then Spotify works New Music Fridays. Yeah. Right? So all music, it used to be Tuesday, now it's on Fridays. Always release your music on Fridays. It's pretty arbitrary, I know, but do it. That'll get you a better probability of getting there. And make sure that, have an attractive profile page that people will follow. It's important because I think a lot of people forget that Spotify has a really cool, they know what users like. For example, when Cleopatra debuted their new single, Daphne did it, and the Dafts, I got an email from Spotify.
You did?
Yeah.
No way.
I'll show you later saying, hey, an artist that you like released new music on Spotify. And I open it and it's Cleopatra. And I'm like, what? That's so cool. So they know that I listen to Cleopatra already. I know that I follow them or something.
The only reason why I didn't know that and why it's so strange, like maybe it's a new thing that they're testing, because this must be brand new, because you remember last year at the end of the year when they did your wrap up and you can find out who your top songs were,
yeah,
your
they
top
know
artists.
this.
Okay, so the top 3 songs out of my top 5 songs were all Dare Not's tracks, because I listen
to a lot of Dare
I
Nots.
listen to the Now Is Truth so many times over and over and over and over again. And so the top 3 songs were Dare Not songs. And they released a new record. Like I went to go show them to someone the other day and I realized that there was brand new music for March and I had no idea. So that's why I'm surprised, because you would think that Spotify would know, like,
would
hey,
notify you.
I listened to this album like a million times last year. You know, you would tell me
maybe
that they released new stuff.
Do you have
in
like
March.
email notifications turned off maybe or something like that?
No, I get notifications, but it's probably Spotify for artists though.
Yeah, so it might be something like that. If you have email notifications, like that matters, right? So knowing those things. And now Vanessa is frantically checking her email.
So now let's take a quick look at the whole cycle. But one more thing first is, again, you have, just like every other, we did social media in our last episode, you need to understand how the platform works and you have to engage with it. You can't just expect a platform to work for you and an audience to grow for you if you don't know how it works. And it may seem really laborious to go and create playlists, share, listen to other playlists, follow playlists, make playlists of other artists, local artists that you love. Like, just engage with the platform, share music on the platform, get to know it so it feels natural to use it. So you do that, you upload your music, release it on a Friday, get your friends to share it. Another thing too, that Spotify really loves it when people share Spotify music outside of the platform. So encourage your fans, like, if you like it, please share it. If you like it, please save it, because that's called a collection rate. They will look at saves.
There's things like pre-save campaigns that you can run, which are, as far as I know, free to run. As long as the distributor gives you the link ahead of time, you can run pre-save campaigns. And if you really want to make Spotify part of your campaign, release your music on Spotify a week earlier, and it goes everywhere else a week after.
Yep, you can do that, or you can even incentivize people. if you share our new single and tag it with, tag us or hashtag
giveaway.
This, then, we'll get you into our release party for free, or we're going to send you an album, or you're going to get into, there's so many different ways that you can work around it to incentivize people to share, which in turn works for you. So you're social with the platform, you're creating playlists, you're using things like Submit Hub to get on playlists, you're contacting the editorial teams that you think are going to work for you. And then you'll have, a couple thousand plays. You go into Spotify for artists. You look at your top markets. The markets that are out of reach, that are too far for you to tour to, you start running some Facebook ads for them. And the local markets, that's how you start routing your tours. And that is the full cycle of the benefit of Spotify.
There we go.
It's awesome.
It's a cycle, baby. So now we know that every single listener of the Offstage podcast is going to have a Mexico and Brazil tour. Which is going to be amazing. All right. So maybe I think we're going to start wrapping it up soon. But let's chat about some of the stuff that we think, and this is a little bit more off the cuff. We're just talking out of our ideas right here. But like, what might happen to Spotify in the future now that a lot of money is coming in? The labels are happy with Spotify. Investors are happy. As far as I know, the stock price is doing well. This is not like Snapchat. A lot of exciting stuff could happen. What do you think it's next for Spotify?
Well, we already kind of know what's next. Is we're going to have a new app. They're going to create hardware, which I think is awesome. Yep. I'd love to be able to drive my mom's old SUV and listen to Spotify instead of the Weezer White album that's been stuck in the CD player since September, which is wonderful.
I was going to say, at least it's a great album.
It is a great album.
I could listen to that album on repeat, but maybe I would get sick by the 100th and second time.
I got stuck in traffic on the way to Kitchener once, and I listened to it 3 times over, and it was overload.
If I have to listen to Summer Elise and Drunk Dory once again, I'm gonna flip.
Do you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you know how they
I'm
had the
gonna
thing?
walk 500
So
miles.
that's what's happening right now is
Really?
like with the White Album. And it's so funny because I was listening to one of my daily mixes on Spotify. Oh my God, they're so good at that stuff. Every single time a White Album song came up, I had to skip it. Because I was just like,
Now they
I'm
think
okay.
you hate Weezer.
When I'm driving, when I'm using my mom's car and I'm driving, and I'm listening to that album, I'm happy because it's like I already know. I know that if I'm going to listen to music, it's going to be radio.
You've been Stockholm
or it's going to be the White Album.
syndromed into liking
This is my driving down the 401 album, and I'm okay with that. In any other setting, I'm so saturated and soaked
No more
in White
California
Album
kids,
that
no
I
more.
can't. I just can't. I can't listen to it. So
At
anyways,
work, you get like PTSD.
exactly. So to have, but the thing is too is that like I have to figure out a way. Like I know I can get the CD out there, but it's so precious to me.
Yeah.
But I can't. I have to.
And now it's full of memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So
hilarious.
it's great. It's like one of those wonderful, like it's
Yeah.
a nice How I Met Your Mother moment. And
Right?
then every time I turn that CD on, it's like a funny thing. But yeah, I can't. It would be really, really nice to have a piece of Spotify hardware where it's like we don't have to have a new car to be able to stream in the car or like a weird aux thing.
Right? It would be great. I want to see more integration of Spotify into more things. I don't know if they still do it, but for some time there, if you had a Spotify account and an Uber account, you could link those up.
There
And
used to be.
Yeah.
You used to be able to control Spotify from Uber. in the beginning.
Yeah. So I want more integrations like
would
that
that be?
beyond from that,
I
right?
would
Like,
screw with people. Oh, guys, I have a hack. I have a hack. Everyone's gonna hate me for this.
Oof.
Okay, so when you're using Spotify, I don't know if you've noticed. I'm not sure if this is a premium thing. I don't think it's a premium thing. You can listen to Spotify on different devices. This is how we discovered it. So at Black Lamb, we had a Black Lamb Spotify account, and all of us, there's 3 of us, we would all stream it from home or whatever, so that it would collect all of our taste in terms of Discover Weeklies and
does it let you do it
suggestions.
from several devices at the same time?
Not at the same time.
Ah.
So we're able, the reason why all 3 of us were using the account is because we wanted the Discover Weekly and the recommendations and stuff like that and the saves and
tailored.
playlists to be tailored to all of our tastes and not just one of ours. So one day I'm at home and I didn't realize that I was logged into the Black Lamb Spotify account. I thought I was on my personal one, and I pressed play, but for some reason, like, it wasn't playing. And then finally, I'm using my desktop platform. So I look in the corner and it said, listening on Sagiv's iPhone.
Oh, so he was
And I
playing
was
off of
just
his
like,
phone.
oh, hold on a second.
Shout
and
out to Sagiv.
Oh my God. Okay.
Shout outs.
We need to shout out to Sagiv because
I love that
he
guy.
introduced us.
Yes. He's
Oh,
amazing.
See, I
He
totally would have
introduced-
forgotten.
Yeah.
It's so funny that I just
Fuck.
mentioned him in
Sagiv,
this.
we gotta
because-
get you on the show one day.
Yes. Big
He's
shout
good.
outs.
He has
All
great
the
stories,
shout-outs.
too.
He does.
Oh my
Sagiv
God.
is a good guy.
He has the
If it weren't for
best
Sagiv-
hair.
He does have the best hair.
Holy shit.
Is he? Oh, I think he's in LA right now.
Is he?
I think so. I saw him
Holy
last
fuck.
week and he said he was going to LA.
That's
I
amazing.
think he's
I
there
know
right now.
he's preparing to go on a US tour with the guys.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I'm
Cool.
leaking that. I'm gonna bleep that.
But yeah,
I'll
delete
bleep that. I'll bleep
Anyways,
that.
what's up, Sagiv? Thanks so much for introducing us. This is awesome. It's because of you. It's because of
Yeah.
you that the offstage exists.
You and your beautiful hair.
You and your beautiful hair. Okay, so I see that he's listening on his iPhone. Then I see like this little device is available, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh,
All the iPhones, all
Dan's
this.
iPad or Dan's, whatever, MacBook, and
Dan Hand, shout outs.
Steve's iPhone, and Vanessa's desktop, and Vanessa's Android or whatever.
I'm waiting for this
And I was
hack.
just
You got me
Hold
hooked.
on a second. This is the crazy part. So I was just like, hold on. Okay. You know what you can do is you can actually remotely control what people are listening to
Oh my god.
on their device if you're connected to their account.
Okay.
Because that's the thing is I was trying to turn my music on. I chose something
But you
to
were
play.
messing with his phone
I hit
instead.
play, but what was actually happening is that it was playing on his phone.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he was doing, but then you can see people starting and stopping. So we did this one night, with another band. We were on the band's Spotify account, realized that one of the members, it was like 2:00 in the morning. So one of the members had their device, like their Spotify was obviously open either on their phone or their laptop. So we went and we just found like the worst Swedish death metal we could find. And started playing it. So you can You can really mess with your friends if you guys share Spotify accounts.
I thought this was gonna be a hack to like promote your place and get huge. No, it's just to prank your buddies.
To screw with your friends. Especially if you can catch them
God
in the middle of the
damn it.
night. Could you imagine if they're like just listening to some really nice soul music as they're going to bed and you just like find the worst. Yeah, the worst stuff ever. Oh my god, it's so great. I'm
just
surprised,
play a bunch of Rick Astley.
I'm surprised no one's done it back to me. Oh yeah, because nobody has my personal account. But I almost want to give my friends my personal account because that's such a great way to remotely just screw with each other.
Oh my god,
so good.
That's a hilarious story.
Fun.
I thought it was gonna be like great advice. That's
just,
funny.
Guys, do it. Just get your friends to like, can you actually log into your Spotify on my desktop, please? For some reason, like my
it's like it's not working. I'll log out later.
Get them to forget. It's. I'm telling you, it's so much fun.
Just fill up their whole playlist with like Aqua.
Yeah. Anyways, where were we going with this? What were we talking about?
The future of Spotify.
The future of Spotify.
Going back to that, and we were discussing this a little bit before the episode. I think Spotify will eventually, and almost without a doubt, get into content production themselves. We saw Netflix go from just a place that had every show and every movie to the place that was doing the originals. And if you go into Netflix nowadays, they're pushing their originals pretty hard. And they have really good original shows too. Like, they're good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Spotify, and I think we should almost tease but what our next episode is going to be about. But I think that people should really start considering Spotify as a label themselves because they have so much distribution power that why shouldn't they invest in artists?
Yeah. Like, I don't see why not they should have albums that are Spotify exclusive. Mm-hmm. That, they get, maybe not Taylor because she hates them, but they get, I don't know, Cardi B and her next album is fully funded and distributed by Spotify. And it's only on Spotify. Mm-hmm. Of course, I think that's great because there's a free version of Spotify, so there's no reason for it not to happen. Like, the access is still there; her fans can still access it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that's a no-brainer almost. Or even if they're not doing full-blown albums, but maybe they're doing like live sessions or like, remember MTV Unplugged? Those albums were still good. Why not doing them with Spotify? Spotify is the only network that has full distribution of those.
They do have Spotify sessions. They do that.
They do that?
Yep. Hold on, let me see.
Look at me.
I saw it on Highly Suspects.
I stand corrected.
Page. Yeah, they do have Spotify sessions.
So that's a sign that they're already investing in this content production then. What comes next is actually recorded and original music.
They are. Yeah, they are. Hold on. Let me just go in here and double check. Spotify sessions.
Spotify sessions.
Live from Spotify, New York City.
There we go. So they're already investing into this content production of live sessions. Mm-hmm. And I believe there's going to be much more. I don't see why not. That could not be a single or an album eventually. For enough money, bands will do it. Mm-hmm. Especially underground bands. Mm-hmm. Bands that like have a loyal following, but they're not necessarily mainstream, but there's like a huge demand for that. That's where it starts, right?
Yeah.
Get bands like, bands that are smaller but have a huge following, like that very passionate following. Get like Japan Droids to release something only on Spotify, or get like Tokyo Police Club to release all. Like, they're not huge mainstream acts like the Rolling Stones or something like that, or Foo Fighters, but they're big enough. Huh? You don't like the Foo Fighters? What's wrong with Dave Grohl?
How much time do you have?
Oh. Okay, well,
sorry, I'm hating on so many people today.
Wow. Okay, I think Foo Fighters is cool. It's fine. Anyway, they're the best. Vanessa has unplugged her microphone. Anyway, yeah, that's how it starts. Get Japan Droids, get like Streetlight Manifesto. All these bands are small and niche, but have super passionate followings to get. I think you're back. Are you back?
We're good? Hello? Okay. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I knew we were going to get into an argument eventually.
Foo Fighters. Anyway, we'll figure this one out in another episode. We'll unravel this package. What's wrong with Dave Grohl? Anyway,
I don't want to get into it.
It's okay. I think it's a good time to kind of sign off.
Wrap it up.
Thank you very much for listening to the Offstage podcast. This has been episode number 2. I'm your host, Martin Perez.
And I'm Vanessa Markov.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we are going to put up a vote on whether or not you like Dave Grohl.
Oh, that's a good one.
Check out
That's a good one.
Instagram and Twitter.
Yes. Yeah. Whether or not you like Dave Grohl. We'll do it. We'll do it.
We'll discuss this next episode.
Hashtag I love Dave. He's a nice guy.
Hashtag down with Dave.
Wow. Okay. Hashtag down on Dave. Anyway. Anyway, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast in. We put out episodes every 2 weeks, and we'll see you next time. Make sure to follow us on social media. Bye.